It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Monday, October 20th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that loves Owen Tippett getting off to a good start this season.
Yeah, he looks good.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. I've been podcasting about the Flyers, the NHL, and hockey for a decade, and I'm here with prospect expert and Flyers credentialed reporter for 20 years, Russ Cohen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. You can win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And to keep up with our latest episodes and Flyers news, you can find us at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, it was an interesting lineup we saw against the Minnesota Wild on Saturday night. We're going to get into that game plus preview tonight's game against the Seattle Kraken, and check in on our nemesis of the week and kind of touch on our big prospect battle we had in NCAA hockey as well. So a lot to get to here. But, you know, I think I do understand that Rick Tocchet is trying to rotate guys through. And we have talked extensively about the Jet Luchenko scenario in terms of having him come in and out of the lineup because he has a limited number of games for them to make the decision. That being said, I don't understand scratching Yinning and Grabenkin.
I don't either. I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't understand about how they're choosing the roster. I'm going to include Rodrigo Abols, who is 11 of 13 on faceoffs. But I will tell you that on the Flyers power play, which is still awful, except for puck movement, fine, puck movement's good, but they're not doing anything. They don't win a faceoff. They never win that first faceoff. It gets cleared right out. Like, they're starting every power play. It doesn't matter if it's Couturier. It doesn't matter if it's Cates. It doesn't matter. And Abols might be able to cure that, even if you just put him in for a faceoff and then take him off the ice. But again, there's a weird thing where they just, even though he's on the team when they're winning, like when he's in, they're winning.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah, it's an interesting thought in terms of the faceoff because you're right about those stats. I think overall the Flyers are doing much better at faceoff so far this season.
Yes.
They're above 50% in sum total, which is great for the Flyers, right?
But in these key spots now.
Correct. You got to fine tune it and figure out in different situations. And I think that's just something Rick Tocchet's going to have to learn as he goes, but also make those adjustments, right? We want to see them happen as the season progresses. Kicked off the show talking about Owen Tippett. And I want to talk about that specifically because we have talked, about the fact that his scoring was not good last year. His shot was not good last year. And that in order for the Flyers to be successful, he in particular was one of the key guys that would have to contribute and go kind of above and beyond what he did last year. He's got 3 goals in 5 games and had several other really good quality chances in this game. I think, the one little thing here is like, okay, he's doing well, kind of unexpectedly in some ways, but now everybody else has got to catch up to him.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. The fact that he has no assists is not because he's not producing anything on the ice. It's because nobody else is, and he's having to do things on himself. I mean, that's the only reason they even had a chance to win that game is because he made a great second effort. So yeah, he's pulling his weight, but there's a lot of other players that are not. And now you could say defensively they might be because they're keeping, shots down and stuff, and that's fine.
Right.
But offensively, no.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so interesting, right, about this season so far for the Flyers. And, I don't want to make judgments at 5 games in, but you can absolutely start to identify.
I'm going to start making judgments myself.
Well,
I am.
To me, I don't think I'm going to make judgments, but I'm going to identify patterns that we're seeing so far, just observations here. And that's an exact point I want to talk about here in terms of the defense versus the offense, because the Flyers are currently, 5 games games in, worst in the NHL at shots per game with 20.6. The last game was a super low event game overall, right? This game that
I
we're
think they
talking about
had
against the
11
Wild,
shots each or something like
yeah,
that heading into the
it was,
third period.
yeah, it was very, very low. So no, 2 games in a row of low event hockey
Right.
on both sides
Yes.
of the ice, right? It
Oh, yeah.
wasn't just the Flyers, it was
No,
the other
no.
side. So the Flyers are worst in the league at shots per game, at least heading into Sunday's games. But they're 11th best in the league at shots against per game with
Right.
26, and that's very, very good. And you know, Nick Seeler in the locker room after the game talked about how the team has really started to embrace the system and the structure
Mhm.
they're building, and you can see that. You can absolutely see that the defensive structure is getting better and better, but we do need the offensive side to match that, right?
Well, I mean, but that's part of the problem here. Of course, Nick Seeler's happy with this because this plays into his game. Like, this is how Nick Seeler
Right.
plays. So I
No,
expected
totally.
him to act that way, right? So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. You want to ask Matvei Michkov what he thinks about it?
Well, and that's a thing, right? Because I think that is slowly becoming. I think it's a baby elephant in the room right now. It's not a
Yeah.
full of grown adult elephant
No,
yet.
that's fair.
It's a little baby elephant that's running around a little bit, because I do think we've seen now multiple games. It's not just a one-off, but
No.
multiple games where we've seen Michkov's ice time cut as the game progressed and not have him contribute in overtime. And I think, you know, you could look at the results of those 2 overtimes that we're looking at here, where in one scenario they sort of won but then didn't, and then in the other scenario where they did win. So does the end justify the means here?
I mean, it really doesn't, only because, and even Dan Vladar knows, like, they had an open net to shoot at Minnesota and they missed it. And then when he
Mhm.
got the puck, like, he was trying to make something happen, and then he got in between again. And that, luckily, Jamie Drysdale made a great play and got it
He
out.
did.
If
He
he
did.
didn't, the game was over anyhow twice. So did it justify it? No, because Matvei Michkov should be out there every overtime. If you don't want to put him out first, you want to keep going with the Cates guy, with Cates and, you know, Sanheim and such,
And they
fine.
deserve it, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do deserve it.
yeah. But put him out the next shift. I mean, he is a weapon and you are not using it. And so now, this is the funny thing. Now the thing is like, well, you can't use him because he sat for 12 minutes. Well, then he shouldn't sit for 12 minutes. So this is where it's a cascading problem.
Right. And that's why I think that it's, to me, it's a mistake. I think,
Yeah.
especially when Rick Tocchet has said multiple times that you have to play through the mistakes. Right. And it's something Torts said too and didn't live up to. And
He's
I'm just
doing
it's
worse than Torts
yes,
did. We didn't expect this.
I know. Honestly, did not expect it. And it is frustrating to
And I
watch.
don't mean worse overall. I mean worse with Michkov. That's what I mean.
Correct. Yeah, this is the one thing that has been bugging me about what Rick Tocchet is doing, aside from some of the lineup choices.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, I can give him some grace in terms of
Sure, I
getting
can too.
used to the new guys too. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to like ding him too hard on that, right? That's just
No,
something
that's
that
fine.
we maybe know better than
Yeah,
he does at this point,
right.
but
Because
he'll get there. He'll get there. But I think with this one particular issue, it's just bizarre to me that this is how they're handling it, because he does need to play through it. We all know
does.
he needs to play through it. And I think, you know, to your point, having him go out there in the second shift in the overtime makes perfect sense, because when other teams will put out their top overtime unit, right? So
Mhm.
this will go up again for him to go up against the quote unquote second best overtime unit of the other team. That's perfect. I
It
think
is.
that plays into Michkov's strength, and I think they should do it. Now, I'm not going to discount that Noah Cates, like, and that unit did excellent, and that
Sure.
was a great goal, right?
Yeah.
But I do think there's something to it.
There is something to it. And, you know, even getting back to the other conversation that, you know, that they're preventing these shots, that's great. But the
Mhm.
problem is they could get more shots if they had Emil Andre in for Zamula or Juleson. It is so obvious. Like, nobody is bringing the puck up the
Juleson
ice.
is not playing
Nobody.
well. He's
No.
just not.
And nobody's
Ju-
bringing the puck up the ice. I mean, honestly, they have to use 3 guys now to bring the puck up the ice, and most teams do not have to do that, and it's noticeable. And that does throw off a team and what they can do and how they could get set up. I mean, they barely had possession in this game. Like, they won the game. So, okay, great. It goes as a win.
Well, that second period was brutal.
Oof.
Like, it took them until I think 11 or 12 minutes into the
get a
period
shot.
before they were even in the offensive zone, let alone getting
Yeah, that's
a
true.
shot.
No, you're right. Actually, yeah.
So I think that's what was so, I think, shocking about that period. But
I mean,
again,
Dan
they won the
Vladar,
game.
is really good. And now we have to
Oh, yeah.
talk about the fact that he is the number one. Nobody's going to say it on the team, but he
Yeah.
is. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
He's won the job for now.
I know. And I think I'm like updating my language in a lot of ways
Yeah, I
around
know.
it
I saw that on
and I'm going for, he's not the number one goalie, but he's the preferred goalie,
right. The
right?
preferred. Yes.
It's like the economy plus seats
Yes.
in an airplane. That's
Yes.
what Dan Vladar is right now, and that's how we can talk about
And
it.
I could
But
tell the way Owen Tippett's talking about Vladar and net that he can't say, hey, he's the number one guy, but I could tell by the tone that he
yeah,
feels like he gives them their best chance of winning. Like,
yeah.
and it's pretty obvious at this point.
I do think it's still okay that Cam York is not on the power play because he's probably still working up a little bit. But if he's not on the power play by his like fourth or fifth game, I'm gonna start to worry at that point.
Honestly, Cam York was fine with the way he was skating and everything. There's no reason to delay it in my mind, except the fact that I know he had some chances to shoot on net, and one or two were blocked, and then he missed the net too again. So that could be what's holding it back. I don't think it's anything like working his way in. He skated great. He was making a lot of things happen defensively. So I don't think that's a valid thing anymore.
Well, we'll see what happens next. In the meantime, the Flyers do, in fact, have to face the, I think, surprising Seattle
Yes.
Kraken. And we are going to talk about that matchup coming up next. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there is Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. So if you've put off organizing those finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting. You can link your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending. You'll finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch can help you notice inefficient investment allocations and discover those forgotten 401ks from past jobs. You'll save even more money. You can then turn around and reinvest. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. On tomorrow's show, we will, of course, recap the game we're about to talk about for the Flyers against the Seattle Kraken. Plus, it's Phantoms Tuesday, another really solid weekend to look at. Excited to talk about the Phantoms. Plus, we're going to be answering your mailbag questions on our Wednesday show, so make sure you get those in. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com, send us a message on any of our socials, or comment on our YouTube channel. So, the Seattle Kraken, Russ, off to a banging start this season. They're second in the Pacific prior to Sunday's games with 8 points in their early games thus far. And, it had been a little bit deceptive just because of the way the games played out. To start off with, where they were winning at home but not on the road at all until their most recent game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. If we're looking at a game that is destined to go into extra time, this might be it, because we know the Flyers have this track record of it. Seattle, 4 of 5 games have gone beyond regulation, Russ.
Yeah, which is crazy. I would say, one thing to note is their center play.
Yes.
And Beniers is not even playing up to his capacity, but he's playing okay. but Shane Wright is playing to his capacity.
He
And
is exceeding expectations so far this season, I would say.
and I think this is the Shane Wright we all saw going into the
Mhm.
draft, and sometimes just takes a little while to kind of get there, but he's getting there, and he was getting there last year. Also, Jaden Schwartz, like this is a guy when he is healthy, means a lot to them. Same with Eberle. So, this is a game where keeping the shots down is a smart thing.
Yes.
I would agree with that. I don't think you have to put in Delorier to fight, because I don't think
Nope.
this is not the game.
This is
This
not a
fast
fighting team.
This is not a fighting team. And this is a team where, like, I would do everything to try and get the lead. Like, this is something that's kind of eluding the Flyers a lot of games, but against this team, I would try and get the lead, because I think it would be really important. If you can keep the shots down, you can get the lead. I think then you have a really good chance of winning.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle has been blowing leads so far this season, so I wouldn't panic if Seattle does
No.
come out to a lead, because they are beatable in those scenarios. Again, especially on when they're on the road this season because of the
Yeah.
matchups. I think they have a little bit of a challenge getting the best matchups for them when they're on the road. But that being said, I think that this is a really good opportunity for the Flyers to establish themselves early and really push offensively to counterbalance what we've seen from them the past 2 games, and really just emphasize like all the shots in the world. I want to see the most astronomical number of shot attempts that the Flyers can pull off in this game.
Well, it's going to depend on getting the puck out of their zone. Like, that's something they struggled with last game. And while they're clogging up the middle and doing a good job of that, then getting the puck and taking it the other way, they're not doing a good job of. And so against this team, you're going to have to do that, because they're going to have some skaters out there that could win some of these skating battles. And if that's the case, that's why I would seriously look at a lineup change here, but they probably won't, because they just won, and we know how that works in hockey. So yeah, I think suppressing the shots is going to be the big key in this one, and taking a lot of shots would be great, but they have to actually have puck possession to do it. So I think trying to have puck possession is really the key here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think I do think he's going to make the lineup adjustment, because he knows Seattle really
Well, with
well.
Delorier, yes. On
Mhm.
defense, I don't know what he's going to do.
Well, I think that's fair. I think on the forward side, he's going to
Yeah.
make it a faster
Yes.
team, but on defense, I don't know what he'll do. I think
And in net,
that is a
like,
fair
I honestly
assessment.
don't know what they're going to do. I think they'll go with Vladar now, but I could easily be wrong on this. Like, it wouldn't shock me if they just stay stubborn and say, well, we're going to get Urson going here.
I think they're going to put Urson in, but you never know. I do think between the 2 like later games in the week, they're going to split for sure.
Yes.
This game, I can't really speak to that with any degree of certainty, but I'm going to guess Urson and go from there.
Like, me personally, I would put Vladar in and put Urson in Ottawa, where they're struggling. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair strategy. I just think this alternating thing may be a thing they're going to do,
Correct.
for at least the time being, until they have more of a pattern of results to base some decisions on.
Yeah.
I think, Seattle has those skaters. They have above 3 goals per game, which is why the Flyers are going to have to pick it up offensively, because, even if they can establish themselves early, we know Seattle has the scoring capability here. I think it is going to be another shot blocking kind of game for the Flyers here. They haven't had to rely on it too much so far. It's been sort of mid-range shot blocking from them, but you're right. The puck possession is going to have to be good. And I also really, truly think this is the game where Michkov could have some really good chances here, because the Seattle blue line is good, but it's not great.
No, but it is fast. Like, so Dunn and Montour are known for their offense and their speed, and that's something where, you're right.
I'm not sure if Montour is going to be back yet or not. He took a personal leave of absence for a family thing, so for the game in Toronto. But
so we'll see about that one.
We'll see about Montour in particular. But
we'll see about that one. The other thing is, I would probably match up the fourth line and Hathaway against Marchman's line because he is a piece of work and a pain in the neck. And if you
Yes,
put
he
him
is.
up, if that line matches up against the Michkov line, it's going to be a problem. Marchman will draw penalties. He will get Michkov to take at least one bad penalty, possibly two, because that's his game, besides being able to score.
Yeah, and I would put the Cates line up against the second line.
Yeah.
The Stevenson line with Jaden
Yep.
Schwartz, because
Yep.
I think they would match up really well.
They would
here. And I think it would give, especially Tyson Forster, some scoring chances that maybe he isn't getting right now. I thought his game against Minnesota was really good. It just like he didn't get on the board. So I think there is a good chance for him in this game against Seattle. But
I do want to also point out one other thing. Like Travis Konechny is doing all he can to get these other players involved to score, especially Jamie Drysdale. Like he is setting him up and he just is failing. That's why I would put York on the power play, because I think Jamie Drysdale has played himself off of it. And Konechny's doing all he can for that. Like he had some illogical shifts out there just trying to make it happen, and I give him credit for that. But this is where, the coaching staff has to help out Konechny in a way.
Yeah, I think Drysdale's 5-on-5 game is pretty solid. I think it's just the power play that there's some issues right now. I think Drysdale definitely has improved over the last few games in his
5-on-5. He's
game.
Improved shooting, hitting the net, not so much even 5-on-5, and then power play. Not even talking about power play.
I do want to give the Seattle Kraken a little bit of kudos to wrap up this conversation, just because they wore Seattle Mariners jerseys walking into the game.
You gotta give them credit
against the Leafs. Like, that is bold.
No, that's great,
bold.
considering that they are playing against the Blue Jays.
Listen,
the one thing I will say, it's an amazing thing in any sport when you have a whole country like Toronto behind a team. There really is no situation like that in any of our North American leagues. It's really unique that way. So to do that, it takes a lot of guts.
Took a lot of guts. So definitely going to give them stick taps for that. And in the meantime, it is Monday, so we will have our Nemesis of the week. Plus, we're going to get into our Flyers prospect battles that happened over the weekend coming up next.
The NFL season's here, and FanDuel has an offer you won't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives so many ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. Again, just look at the hat I'm wearing. Bet against them. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
All right. So like we talked about over the last 2 weeks and kind of previewing what we were expecting out of Porter Martone and Jack Murtagh in our little prospect profiles we did about them. As we mentioned, the two were slated to play against each other this past weekend, which they did. Michigan State versus BU in 2 games back-to-back, Friday and Saturday night. And we also had some other prospects. There were 5 Flyers prospects in those games overall. Of course, Shane Vansaghi plays for Michigan State. And then we had Carter Amico on the blue line at BU, as well as Owen McLaughlin, who is a center who transferred from North Dakota to BU for his last year of college play. So lots of Flyers prospects in here. I think it was kind of a tale of 2 games for Porter Martone, where he spent a significant amount of the first of 2 games in the penalty box.
He has to learn the league. He does.
He really does. He had an interference call, and then he got a 2 and a 10 for later in the game.
Well, because it's
kind of a mess.
It's different. Yeah, college hockey is different as far as like, I want to just say like violence and how they handle, hits and things like that. It's pretty severe.
Yeah, but the second game, I think he probably got a stern talking to and figured out how to adjust. And, he had a goal and an assist 3 shots on goal. I thought he played very well in the game on
Yeah, the
Saturday.
goal on the doorstep, like in his office, was
Mhm.
tremendous. Like that's every team wants a guy who could do that.
Yeah, so and Michigan State did win both games. So that was really, I think, telling in
Now
some ways.
to be fair, we could talk about Vansaghi shining,
Yeah.
but part of the reason he's shining is because Caden Lindstrom is healthy, and people
Yes.
really have not gotten to see him play in the last 2 years. So some people, like college fans, have probably never seen him play, and he is a horse. Like when he is healthy, he is a force out there. Now Vansaghi's hanging with him, so good for him. But
Yeah.
this is what makes Michigan State such a amazing team, because if Lindstrom's healthy, oh my God.
Right, and Vansaghi did benefit from that, but also I thought was very good on his own,
Mhm.
especially on Friday. He was pressing most of the game,
Yeah, he's a good
and
player.
scored in that game. He had an assist on the game-winning goal in overtime on Saturday. I just thought he had a great pair of games overall,
Yeah, I mean, he's a
there.
veteran now there. He had a tremendous freshman season, like really effective. I remember him like kind of moving up the rankings late in the year, and now he's like an established guy.
Yeah, Jack Murtagh, obviously, a different kind of player. He
Yes.
is adjusting to the college game. He did have an
Yeah.
assist on Friday, and I think he had some really good moments. He missed the puck a bunch of times, and I think he had some puck possession issues
Yeah.
in these 2 games, but I think he's just adjusting, and he's a freshman. He'll get better. I'm not worried
No, I
about
think
it.
that's him like thinking too much.
Mhm.
He's a guy that you can't worry about today. Like today, you see that he could play a really good all around game. But when he really turns into the power forward that they hope he can be, and I think he will be, that's when you'll say, oh, okay, now I see him putting it all together. It's going to take a little while for him to put it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Carter Amico, I thought was solid on the blue line for BU. I think he kind of suffers from being paired with Sasha Boumediene, who is all over the place, and Amico's got to hold down the
Oh,
fort. So he
yeah.
wasn't flashy, but he was solid.
No,
So,
Boumediene can be a roller coaster in the
right.
game. And so he's the safety valve for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I do also want to talk about Owen McLaughlin because
Yeah.
he's the first line center for BU. He's a 5th-year senior, transferred from North Dakota,
Yeah.
and he just stood out in this game. His faceoffs were really good. I thought that his positioning was excellent. I think he's a really good complement to Cole Iserman
For
on that
sure.
line, and in terms of as a center, supporting the playing style of the
Yep.
flashy winger on your line is something you have to learn and grow to develop, and he is absolutely that guy. He is the great center to be paired with a dynamic forward like that.
Yeah, this has all been coming. He's been really good for 2-3 years. He always had to just kind of like gain strength on his frame, gain some muscle. He's done that. He was a beanpole when he got drafted, and he was drafted out
Yeah.
of high school. So he's just one of these guys that was always going to be a long-term guy. And yeah, if I'm the Flyers, I stick with him. I honestly don't know what the next level holds for him, but right now he's perfected the college game, and that's never a bad thing. Carson DeWart will tell you that. Uh, you know,
Exactly.
so I think, he's a guy that is going to have a big year. He is with Iserman, but he does complement him well, as you pointed out.
Yeah. Yeah. So looking forward to following all these guys as the college season continues. Turning to our nemesis of the week. Last week, I talked about not having any snap judgments on the season, which I reiterated that we're starting to
You're
look for
sticking with
patterns.
it. Yeah.
Patterns are there. Judgments are not at this point.
Jargon's changing, but we'll see.
Yes. Yeah. Russ, you talked about the friendly competition between TNT and ESPN in terms of their broadcast styles and how they're covering the game, which, by the way, the whole ESPN debacle with inserting extra ads on some of their streaming apps and it causing delays. Not so good. Not so good,
I
ESPN.
mean, this is what we're saying.
Yeah, my nemesis this week is going to be, I think, waiting to get to where I can evaluate, right?
Okay.
In terms of making these judgments, especially on the Michkov situation. I think that, like I said, it's a baby elephant. It's not an adult elephant
Okay.
in the room. And I think that it's definitely something that I want to keep an eye on, but I don't want to get too hasty about it. And let's see what Michkov does. Let's see what Tocchet does. And we're going to go from there. Talk to me next Monday, and we'll figure out where we are there.
I just want to point out, though, a baby elephant is somewhere between 200 and 300 pounds. So
it's still an elephant.
I know. I just want to point that out. That's all I want to say. Just adding a fact. My nemesis is going to be the Winter Olympic rink situation still. Because, in the article, Gary Bettman's doing all he can. Like, I give it to him. Like, he's putting the pressure on. And they're just like in Italy, they're like, yeah, we're behind schedule. It's going to be okay. We'll play in the other rink. Go look up the other rink. I see wild stories about this other rink. And again, just seeing renderings. This reminds me of like trying to buy a house and you're looking at the model home and you're trying to imagine or believe the builder on how long this house might take to be able to move in. I've watched enough like House Hunters and all these other shows to know that there's some trouble here. And it's been a while that it's trouble. And good for Gary saying, yeah, we've been worried for 2 years, because I've been worried for 2 years and I haven't had a problem bringing it up on the show. But like, you're getting down to crunch time. And I hate the fact that the women are going to be kind of used as the test subject. It might end up being that way because it's coming down to the wire. So there's an uneasiness there, considering that tickets cost $1,600 a piece for the men's hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. Like we said, we've been talking about it for quite some time. So I think it'll be a storyline heading into the Olympics for sure. That will do it for today's show. We will be back tomorrow, of course, to recap this game against the Kraken, plus our Phantoms Tuesday check-in. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. You can send in your questions or let us know your Flyers thoughts on any of our socials at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology on the same socials, SPORTSOLOGY.
Thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen. Today, for your next listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. It's every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale with NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, everyone.